Hello everyone! Welcome back to this game. When we last left off, we finished the Remy run, and... okay, yeah, I definitely could have saved Remy's good, air quotes, ending for the beginning of this stream. I did not expect to have that entire conversation with Reza again. On the bright side, seeing that entire conversation with Reza again gave me a chance to remember how much of a prick Reza can actually be. I mean, seriously? Raising those hatchlings as tools for war? These are people, you asshat! And I know we're talking about fictional characters, fictional species in a video game, but I legit feel strongly against that sort of thing, so... Ooh. Hello there, Kiba. Welcome to the stream. Kiba says, during the opening cutscene, did it say betrayal for Vera? Oh. Yeah, that opening sequence. Honestly, I don't know. I never actually paid too much attention to which character is which. I know that it says betrayal for one of the characters. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start up another Adine run. I almost succeeded in doing an Adine run alongside my Remy run, but... well, at some point, I must have missed a phone call from Adine, because she wound up feeling abandoned, so we're gonna try this again. Continue your journey, Erika. Okay, here we go again. So, same opening as usual, awaking from uneasy dreams. Here comes Sebastian. So, let's go ahead and skip everything, including the first murder. I am 90% certain there's no reason for me to go through any part of the opening again. Hey there, B-Force! Welcome to the stream. Okay, Bryce led me back to the apartment. I guess there wasn't really much for me to do in the meantime, as I was spared the more arduous parts of the investigation. Maybe I should have been glad about this, though now I had an afternoon to fill. Okay, let's order some lunch. I remember that Adine had told me that the cafe did deliveries as well. You know, it was interesting to think that Adine working at the cafe was not really a prominent part of the story. I figured that'd be like a central thing, like I'd visit her at the cafe again or something. But no, we kind of hung out away from work. Which in hindsight, that is where you would want to not do your hanging out at work. And here is Adine again, all sopping wet. Even without hair, being wet in the rain is probably not very comfortable. Hey, here's your order. Sorry, I got a little wet, but it should still be okay. You're soaked, why don't you come in? Okay, so this is where the Truth or Dare little game came into play, and there were a few questions that I did not get around to asking. The thing of it is, I didn't ask them because I don't want to ask them. A couple of them seemed potentially not very good to ask, So I'm not going to do them, I'm just going to skip ahead. You know, if you want me to come over again, you don't have to order anything to do it. Here's my private number. I'll keep that in mind, thanks. Bye! And I know I don't necessarily have to do Remy's run in any part in order to get Adine's good ending, at least not at this point. I don't think. I think I already know to get the blueprint so I can get it again on this run without having to be told to. But I'm going to try to do this run mostly similar to the last one. Told me to meet in the library lobby. Nobody's here. Maybe I should look for them. And we are skipping this as well. Anyways, thank you for your help. If there is any way I can repay you, just let me know. Okie dokie. Also, I'm glad I did not ruin your game. Can't really think of anything. What do humans typically do? Invite them for a meal? That's what I'll do. Sounds good to me. Have a nice evening. You too. We parted amicably, or so I thought. Would I see him again? I wasn't sure, but I kept his number just in case. And yet, I am going to go to the park during the next investigation. Hello there, Maddie. Welcome to the stream. I'm already in Chapter 2. We're going to possibly fly through this run, since I already did most of everything I want to do in the previous run. I see no reason to repeat them on camera. So, let's see here. This is where we go to the building where we find out that power was lost because the generator was stolen. I meet the administrator in disguise. I get told to check out some places that Reza had previously been seen. And also wind up being confronted by Maverick. So, let's skip ahead, because none of it's important. At least for this run. It was a relief to leave the crime scene, considering all that had happened. When I reached into my pocket to take a look at the list, however, I found something unexpected. Small piece of paper with word Tatsu written on it. Earlier encounter with masked person was the only time today someone was close enough to smuggle something into my pocket. Figured if someone like Bryce tried to do something like that, I definitely would have noticed. Tatsu Park. Didn't know it was actually a good idea to visit. It's absolutely a good idea to visit. So, let's visit Tatsu Park. And I'm going to the pavilion. No, not the pavilion. Some other place. Look at the map. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Look at the map. And I want to head to the political district. Just as I enter the southern part of the park, I found myself tumbling to the ground when someone suddenly bumped into me. Ouch! Lucius. Okay, I have a question. Is it possible to meet Lucius anywhere else besides here? Sorry about that, are you alright? Besides being a little dirtier than before, I think so. I should really look where I'm going. Sometimes I just get lost in my thoughts. Think you dropped this. Thank you. Ghost stories, huh? Yep. Oh, I should probably go before the bookstore closes. Okay, at first I was thinking maybe I need to follow this guy to the library sometime, but no, he talks about a bookstore. I don't think I ever even visit a bookstore, so probably a one-time occurrence. Another backer character. More importantly, though, there's someone sitting on the benches. This is where we technically first meet, although I hear your voice back at the library. What a most pleasant surprise to be meeting you here, Erika. Do you know who I am? I do. And what brings you here today? Not quite sure of that myself. The park does have an appeal that naturally draws people in. I would know since I'm partly responsible for creating it. Have you seen the north side yet? If not, you totally should. It's just so pretty this time of year. Do I necessarily need to on this run? I don't think so. You created this park? Some of it. See the building behind me? That's where I work. Want to know a secret? The park was built here so I can enjoy going outside on my breaks. Speaking of work, Remy works for you, right? I just met him the other day. Oh, Remy, quite the little nerd, isn't he? Have you seen his malformed ears? I want to laugh every time I see him. Yeah, turns out you're kind of a jerk to him and you're making him miserable, so I'm gonna try to see if I can put a stop to that. That's not very nice. Be that as it may, I just can't help it. I am kind of reminded of a New Year's Christmas special, Rudolph's Shiny New Year. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but basically revolves around Rudolph trying to find the baby New Year, who has run away because everybody laughs at baby New Year's big ears. And there's some sort of moral about how people aren't laughing at you because they're mean. Seeing those ears just make them happy. I'm not sure how much I buy that. Can I ask you a question? You can ask for sure, but whether I can answer or not is another question. What would you like to know? Well, I'm going to ask about all of these, because I'm pretty sure I can. What do you think about us visiting this world, you and Reza? I think it's about the most exciting thing that has ever happened here in the last few years. Certainly has been a nice distraction from the other boring things I had to do at work. How so? Arranging your arrival is partly my responsibility. Would have been at the portal to welcome you myself if something didn't come up at the last second. And we know that Remy really wanted to be the one. Ask about our job. Tell me more about your job? Could, but I think overall it's a very boring affair. A lot of reading, talking, approving or rejecting forms and projects. And apparently it involves a lot of political games. Has its perks, but in some ways I'll certainly be happy when my term is over. Minister was something people remember you for. How does terms work? Ministers serve our term, then someone else takes our place. Only one minister changes at a time. Any person can become a minister. Certain standards or requirements must be met. Don't want to bore you with details. Ask about the park. Not much to say about it. Just opened recently. Initial request for more open spaces. Park dedicated to our so-called creator. I say creator like that because I think that word is a bit of a misnomer, but I suppose people still use it regardless. It is actually quite literal. I should be getting back to work anyway. Thank you for those most pleasant conversation, Erika. I didn't see an option to meet Emera. Hoping that I'll have the opportunity to call her, perhaps? I might as well go here. Just to rest on the bench. I really want to know the story behind this backer character. Did they just buy the lowest tier, where they can appear but they can't have any dialogue? Or did they actually ask to just be sitting there like a statue? So we'll just leave the park for now. And where else do I necessarily want to go? I suppose I could visit the library. There's Remy. Oh, right. This conversation. Where they're on bad terms because Remy's fiance died and etc, etc. Has Reza been here? He asked for a map. How are you doing? Not sure, to be honest. There are a lot of things on my mind now. Like what? Not at liberty to discuss them at the moment. Supposed to be working. Fair enough. You'll tell us later. Okay, let's reload. Before says, I have to agree that Remy's ears look funny to meet Emera. Well, that's kind of a bummer, but... Alright. I have to admit, they are pretty funny. Right? Now just imagine what it must be like working with him. He's always running back and forth on my command like some sort of well-trained, ugly, yappy dog. He's not ugly. Can I ask you a question? You can ask. What would you like to know? I'll just go through this stuff real quick. Before says, oops, never mind. You just have to have one of Remy's endings. Okay. So after this I get a phone call chance with her then? Well, in that case, I'm going back to the one where I just say that's not very nice. Visit the library. I don't necessarily have to, but why not? Reza, how are you doing? What did Adine want from you? Okie doke. Bye-bye. Okay, seen this before. What was this part again? We have not reached... Oh, I can't remember what this part was. Where I go to... I can hit the skip button down here. Oh, right, this was Maverick. Oh, I was wondering when Maverick appeared. I thought it happened before the investigation. Never do such a thing. I mean, I eventually do kill him, but I didn't want to. Can't we help? I don't think he's going anywhere. Thanks, Sebastian. Thanks for your help. We really do appreciate it. You're welcome. Should be all. Can you find your way back to your apartment? Yep. Bye-bye. And I do not have the option to meet with Emera still. So, I don't know. You're gonna have to look that up for me. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and skip along. And if there's something I can do before it says maybe you do have to agree with her after all. Let's try it. They are pretty funny. I am really thankful right now for the skip button. Azrael's been here. How you doing? What did Adine want from you? That's all. Skip ahead. Before says someone else who looked at the game code just said you need one of Remy's endings. Hopefully you don't have to get the bad one. Okay, if that winds up being the case, I don't know that I want to get that meeting with Emera then. Because I refuse to be mean to Remy. Oh, hey, nope, here we go. So yeah, joking about Remy was the key to unlocking it. Alongside getting Remy's good ending, I guess. Because I'm pretty sure I did agree with her once. Unless I was only half agreeing. I can't remember what I did that one time. In any case, now we can meet with Emera. This should be the right place. Come in. Well, here goes nothing. Whew, new scene. What a pleasant surprise. I didn't expect you to take me up on my offer. I'm sure you are a very busy person. Okay, I did skip through that dialogue. If she did actually offer, I might have skipped over that part. Oh well, nothing important missed. Probably just a line of dialogue offering to visit. Let's see. Busy. How busy am I? That I am. No doubt same is true for you. Honestly, not too busy for a visit like this one. I'm sorry I have to say this, but I won't have much time for you today. As edifying as your visit is no doubt going to be, I have a meeting to attend shortly. However, I'm still grateful you came to visit. I'm sure someone of your standing is always busy. Thank you for taking the time to meet me. Charming as always, aren't you? So, what exactly is this? An official meeting? A trade negotiation? Oh, please. This is just two people having a conversation. After all, we still owe you for the PDA devices you gave us, so until we deliver our part, there is nothing to negotiate. I see. If it was up to me, though, I'd rather listen to you all day than having to work through this stack of paperwork. Well, you're always welcome to join me during my streams. Is it really all that boring? Well, sometimes. It's just an unpleasant part of the job, I suppose. In the end, working as the Minister of Culture and Arts involves just as much paperwork as any other bureaucratic position. On Sundays, I have to keep reminding myself that there are actual people and problems behind those numbers, and those are the people I'm responsible for. I wish more politicians realized that. One mistake, and those people turn against you faster than something that is very fast. That's why I prefer to go where the people are rather being stuck back here. It makes things much clearer than the abstraction of words and numbers. You know, I'm suddenly wondering, is there an equivalent to rabbits 65 million years ago? Is that what this is for you? A game or a popularity contest? I may use the law, Erika, but I don't break it. As much as I may dislike it, a game is certainly what this is. When I came into office, it didn't take long for me to realize that you can't win if you don't play. Let me ask you one thing, Erika. Do you enjoy your work as an ambassador? Well, I mean, I got to visit a dragon world, so that's kinda neat. Not so much a fan of the murder stuff, but that's, circumstantial. Lucky are those whose purpose is enjoyable. Too bad not all of us are. That doesn't sound like you enjoy your job very much, though. Well, I look at it this way. Just one term of having been on the council, and I'll have left my mark. One term of being stuck behind a desk with my paperwork. At least I get to do something where I can make a difference, even if that doesn't happen very often. Culture and arts doesn't exactly give me much room for doing what I'd want to, you know? Still, I prefer stacks of papers and meetings to working in a mine and pulling carts or logs, or whatever else they would have us Earth dragons typically do. When I look at those who have to do hard manual labor, I can't help but feel empathy towards them. I'm impressed by their tenacity to work in conditions that I would never want to do. I wish to help them. What about those who enjoy that kind of work? Sure, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about those like myself who are just not cut out for that kind of job. Being in charge of your visit to this world, however, has been quite an opportunity. Was it just that? An opportunity? Of course not. I have been a staunch believer in humanism for a long time. That is an interesting word for it. Humanism? The belief in humans and their contribution to our existence. I see. Some people say I only took this matter into my hands as just another publicity stunt, but I can assure you my feelings in the matter are genuine regardless. I can believe that. Pun intended. Oh crap, I missed a pun? Where's the pun? Some people say I only took this matter into my hands as just another publicity stunt, but I can assure you my feelings on the matter are genuine regardless. I don't know what the pun is. I would argue that making it a public spectacle only confirms my position on the matter. In the end, I don't have any hard feelings, because I know the critics are only another part of the job I have to deal with. You should see how quick they are to jump at my throat and second-guess every decision I've ever made. How ironic it is for people like that to have a platform where they can spout their opinions when I'm the one making all the hard decisions. It doesn't matter, though. I know that I will never please everyone, but my numbers do speak for themselves. In the end, it is all just a great self-sacrifice to make a difference. Is that why you became a politician? I'd like to think it was all preordained. My parents were the vehicle so I could get this far. That reminds me of this book I've seen. It was called Born to Serve, I think. How very perceptive of you. Indeed, I happen to have quite a fondness for it, since Avdon's experience is not unlike my own. I always knew I was destined for greatness, just like my parents before me. However, I thought I would need to work hard like them to get there. That's where they were mistaken. I grew up as an only child in a village mostly known for its mining industry. My father was a very business-minded individual. He worked hard to provide for us and advance his career, whereas my mother was more of a spiritual person. After years of saving up, they combined their interests and created a new business out of nothing, a gamble that paid off handsomely. I did what was expected of me. I studied and worked hard until I came to resent it. By that point, I was at a crossroads in regards to my future career. My parents wanted me to continue my studies, but I decided against doing that. Studying and working hard so that I may study and work hard ad infinitum wasn't something that was particularly appealing to me. In the end, I didn't see the difference between working hard in the mines and studying perpetually. Instead, I started to look for alternative options. There was an opening for a political position, and I decided to seize the opportunity and applied for it. At the time, I wasn't sure whether to be surprised at the fact that I got the position, but if I look back at it now, it certainly shouldn't have. Okay, B-Force is trying to explain to me how to say infinitum, but let me just Google it. Infinitum, or whatever it is. Now I forget what the word is. I'm having trouble spelling it right. Because Google is telling me about infinitum electric. I'm not interested in a motor company. I'm interested in a definition. Okay, here we go. Ad infinitum. Pronounce it for me.
Ad infinitum.
Ad infinitum. Okay. Anyway, back to the story. I was very qualified for the job, but I also have a feeling that my parents might have persuaded those in power because they knew this would be another step up for our family. Okay, before moving on, I just want to comment how annoying it is that Google does that. I tried to look up a word and it gives me a company or something. No, I want the word, stupid. Persuaded them? How? This is only speculation, of course, but I wouldn't put it past them to do something like that, no matter if it was with words, gifts, or something else. Well, money does talk. How's that worked out for you? Now that I am here, the stacks of books have merely been replaced by stacks of paperwork. At least I am popular, though. Are you really? I know I am polarizing, but why try to please everyone and accomplish nothing when I know it's impossible to please everyone in the first place? It is a departure from the usual way of thinking, and while not liked by everyone, some of my moves have been lauded by a great majority. My strategy is to take risks that may or may not pay off when I know I have nothing to lose, rather than playing it safe and just perpetuating the status quo. You have nothing to lose? I am not afraid of political suicide because I don't value the position itself. I only value the opportunities I am given while having this power. So long as I have it, I shall use it until I can no longer do so. As long as it's for good things. My approach has been called daring or brave, just as much as it has been derided by others who don't like what I am doing. I'm not sure if this will start a trend, or if there will be others who will follow suit, but either way, I'll be glad once my term is over. What are you going to do then? People who have been on the council usually don't have trouble finding a job to their liking, but I wouldn't even need to do that. I am settled for life and could retire now if I wanted to. Retire? Is that what you would like to do? I already feel like I have left my mark and seen everything there is to see in the political landscape, so once this is over, I'd like to settle down for good and start a family. With Bryce, perhaps? Really? I'm an only child. My parents want me to make them some grandchildren and to continue the lineage, so all that responsibility rests on me now that I've proven my worth. Hey, as long as you're up for it. I mean, is that what you would like to do as well? In this case, I'll have to agree with them. Frankly, I am tired of all the work, more so than ever before. Besides, it would be a shame to let everything they built go to waste, don't you think? What is that supposed to mean? I'm talking about our family fortune, of course. And what would a family fortune be without a family? I see. The funny thing is, they were never like this when I was growing up. It was only after they had made it big that they started getting all self-important about it, illusions of grandeur included. Now that I'm getting older, I'm sad to say that it's not exactly getting easier. I probably would have had better chances if I started a family first and tried to have a career afterwards. Why is that? Being known like I am has made me popular, but it's making things complicated on the relationship front. On one hand, there are those that immediately disregard me due to my public image or my politics. On the other, we have those that are only interested in me because of being well known. In a way, I'm getting evaluated before I even have a chance of getting to know someone, or before they get to know the person behind the politics. No matter if positive or negative, these snap judgments create a sort of proto-relationship that I had no input in and causes them to have certain expectations or opinions about me. I suppose you can't change someone's mind if they have already made it up. Oh, you can. It's just not an easy thing to do. Not that dating isn't already complicated enough as it is. Maybe it'll be easier once your term is over. People may not recognize you as much. Maybe. It also doesn't help that there is a rather limited selection for prospective fathers in this town. I didn't even consider that. Maybe I'll return to my hometown once my term is over. Can I ask you something? You have already asked me a lot of things since you came here. I'm sure one more won't hurt. Why did you employ Remy? You see, politics is a rather unusual field here. As a pursuit that mostly requires intellectual ability, it is very open to members of any and every species who wishes to apply to such an office. However, the council members themselves are responsible for the workers they employ to help with their office's duties, and that is an area where certain standards and prejudices already start to seep in. The council members either employ members of their own species, or they pick members of a species that is stereotypically used in that area. I suppose that would make sense. Because having hands kind of makes things easier in a job that requires hands. Shortly after I came into office, I was faced with the question of who to employ to take care of the archives. I didn't really know of a suitable candidate that I wished to employ off the top of my head, so I had to make do with the applicants I received. They were numerous. Among them was a number of hopefuls from my hometown who now banked on the idea I would employ someone I already knew or of my own species. I could have hired one of them, but I had to realize that this decision, my first in the office, would already be under scrutiny. It certainly would have been very unusual to hire an Earth Dragon to take care of the archives, but I was sure it would have been looked at from a certain angle with a certain bias. They would have claimed that I only employed another Earth Dragon because they belonged to the same species or came from the same town as me. They wouldn't even consider that I made the decision based on merit. Kiba is asking, what kind of dragon is Remy? That is a good question. I would have assumed that he was an Earth Dragon, but I guess the more thorny dragons like Emera here, with the large rhinoceros ears and horn, are the Earth Dragons. It is also interesting to know that they are not using the species names that we as humans gave them. With the same biased thinking being present in the applicants, it would have been hard to find anyone among them who was actually suited to the position of working in the archives. Typically, the position is held by a species with proper hands, and it is often necessary to handle small and precious objects in the archives. But since I typically don't do things the typical way, I wanted to do something different. After I sorted out applicants that only seemed to want to be there to advance their career, or to have something important to put on their resume, the remaining number was actually fairly small. Remy was one that stood out to me from the rest. I wondered about his rationale to even apply for the position, given that it was unheard of for a member of his species to be the caretaker of the archives. Either he was incredibly naive, or he knew that his chances were practically nil, but was willing to try regardless. I was curious to find out when I invited him for a job interview. He seemed genuinely enthusiastic and had a passion for the subject, qualities I was looking for. He also had a background that actually made him well qualified for the position, at least on paper. Ultimately, he reminded me of my parents and how they managed to break out of their mold and made it big by doing their own thing. I saw an opportunity that aligned with my own goals. Of course, there were also practical considerations, but I thought with time and practice, and his tireless nature, any difficulties could be overcome. Maybe he could rise above his peers just like my parents did. I only gave him the same chance. I knew I was making a gamble, but I thought with someone like him, it could very well pay off. Going against every recommendation, guidance, and advice I received, I ultimately decided to hire him. A decision that immediately made big headlines. It was the beginning of the trend that would give me the image I have now. There was a lot of coverage about it, and I think it gave Remy a lot more attention than he wanted. This might have been a good thing if he did his job well, but this didn't turn out to be the case. The first time he messed up, I made a joke about it and told him that this happens to everyone a few times. If only it had stayed at just a few times. Soon enough, my decision made more headlines from my cynical critics who lambasted me, citing his shortcomings as evidence. Of course, I couldn't go easy on him during that time. He wanted the job, so I held him to the standards of the job. If I treated him any differently, it would have only gotten worse. He might have to work twice as hard, but if he can't do the job, maybe he isn't cut out to do it. But if he can, he'll have proven his worth to the whole town. I heard that isn't working out so well for him. Tell me about it. It's one of my few decisions that haven't ended up working in my favor, even though many people were all for it when it was initially announced. Why don't you just replace him? And that wouldn't be such a good idea. For one, it would only prove the people right who doubt that I made the right choice, and secondly, it would only draw attention to the whole issue all over again. That is unfortunate. Luckily, I make enough headlines these days for it to not matter much anymore. Oh, I'm going to be late for my meeting if I don't hurry up. Would you mind helping me with this? Hornshine. What's that? Just some color for my horns. You're painting them? What for? It's a public outing. Are you telling me you don't do things to make yourself look different? We do. I just didn't expect your horns would be one of those things. I see. Well, the brush is over there, so get it and get going. Alright. I walked over to her table where I saw the brush among a number of other tools I couldn't quite place and a few stacks of papers. She really hadn't been exaggerating when she had mentioned her workload. Anything I need to know before I start? Not really. You know how a brush works, don't you? I sure do. Just so you know, I'll blame you in front of the whole council if you mess it up. Of course. I removed the cork from the glass bottle that was filled with a red, somewhat viscous liquid. After dipping the brush into it, I started painting her horn in a bright red. Okay, so it's like their version of lipstick. It only took a few applications for the horn to be covered completely. Is that good? No, we're not done yet. Don't forget my elbow and those on my back. Alright. Here, that should do it. Let me take a look. She walked up to a mirror and turned her head a few times so she could see herself from every angle. Ah, okay. We don't get to see the one on her elbows, though. But you know, I think that is a good look for her. And I guess the spines and the elbow spines count as her extra horns, plural. Not too shabby, Erika. Maybe you would make a good assistant. Maybe. Anyway, how does it look? What do you think about the color? Let's see. Goes well with your makeup and jewelry. Contrasts nicely with your natural color. Thought they already looked nice before. No, it contrasts nicely with your natural color. No, wait, no. No, further than that. It does go well with your makeup and jewelry because I was looking at her painted horns along with her earrings. Oh, thank you. That's exactly what I was going for. You know what? All that sitting around is making my back so horribly stiff. Would you mind giving me a massage? I could certainly use one right now. Who do you think I am, Bryce? But, I mean, I can try. So... Oh, what do I choose, though? I don't know how or not at all. Do I want to save? What do I want to do? I'm not sure which option I want to pick, and it kind of depends on what the result is. Because I kind of want to choose I don't know how, but not if that results in me just not doing it. I'm also going to go ahead and save in a separate slot. Oh, hey there, Kateri! Thank you for the bits. That is awesome of you. And nice to see you here. Okay, massage. I don't know how. Oh, don't you worry about that. I'll guide you through it. Okay, good. In that case, guide me through it. Kind of weird to massage a dragon, but it's like, how many opportunities am I going to be able to do this? You're a real lifesaver, Erika. I mean, I can't imagine that dragons like being pet. So, this is good enough. I know it's a strange request, but having to sit in this office for hours on end working through all these papers takes its toll on my body. You know, my kind tends to be very physical, and I haven't quite gotten used to this office lifestyle yet. She laid down on a mat and pillow she had quickly produced from somewhere and presented her back to me. I briefly wondered if she kept these items in the office for occasions just like this one. Oh, neat! Got a nice view, and oh, there's her elbow spine. Who is calling me? Somebody's calling me, and I gotta answer it just in case it's important. Never mind, they hung up, so I'm not answering it. So, what should I do? You can start at the neck and work your way down. Well, I don't know much about massaging an earth dragon. Or any dragon for that moment. For that matter. What kind of movements are we talking about here? Just put your palms on it and start rubbing in circles. And don't hold back. I assure you, we earth dragons can take anything you dish out. Well, in that case, let me go grab my cleats. Alright. I put my hands on her rather girthy neck and did as she told me, rubbing my palms on it in a circular motion. I was about to ask her if I was doing it right when I heard her voice. Oh yeah, that is lovely. Just be careful around the spines. I think we both don't want this to end with an impaled hand. After she had mentioned them, I couldn't help but watch her spines a bit more closely while I continued my ministrations. They seemed to be made from the same material as the horn on her muzzle. Even though they were not as girthy, they still started out with a rather wide base, ultimately culminating in a point that didn't seem sharp enough to cause any damage by accident. This does give me thoughts on the horn on my nose. I like to imagine that it's not very sharp either. When I resumed my treatment, she suddenly bucked, her spines only missing me by inches when she suddenly threw her head up. I guess she wasn't kidding about watching out for the spines. Fearing a bit for my safety, I moved down to her shoulders. Your hands are wonderful, Erika. Is that so? The movements, the incomparably soft skin on your hands. Oh, you can feel that through your scales? Or hide? Either or? I'll take it as a compliment. It most certainly is. I kind of want to rub under these ridges. I moved further down to her back, noticing the increased roughness and armor that covered her there. Don't hold back now, Erika. Put your strength into it, or I won't even feel a thing. Following her guidance, I increased the pressure from my palms more and more. Oh, she's got, her claws painted as well as her heel claw. Harder. I gave it everything I could, and as I kept going at her, I noticed the muscles beneath her armor softening noticeably. You know how to please, don't you? Apparently I do. Indeed. By this point, I had moved down to her hips, giving them the same treatment as with the rest of her body. Let us take a moment to appreciate how her hips join with her tail. Also get a nice look at her tail. Got those, 3 spines? I'm not really sure what you would call that at the tip of the tail. The flail? As an aside, This would make for a very interesting thumbnail. Yes, that's the spot. You don't know what having to sit in an office all day does to my hips, Erika. Unrelentingly, I continued, vowing not to stop until every last knot in her muscles was gone. I'm beginning to wonder if her meeting has started yet or not. Don't stop now, Erika. Give it all you got. I went faster, tenderizing her like a rump steak. Just like that. Yes! Yes! And this is getting weird. And with that, my treatment was done. Her hips now as soft and supple as a jello-filled beanbag. That was amazing. Thank you. If you were open to open a massage parlor here, you would have no shortage of customers. I'd probably get tired of it after a while. And also just tired. Is that so? Your hands are truly magical, Erika. They are a gift. Don't waste it. I'll keep that in mind. Anyway, I should probably head off to my meeting, and I'm sure you also have places to be, Erika. Maybe I'll see you again. I'm sure of it. Achievement unlocked. The politician. You just met with Emera. What an interesting lady. I'm almost disappointed that I didn't get to make fun of Emera's ears. Okay, let's see here. So that was that. Obviously, I gotta meet with Adine. Since I spent some time with Emera, though, that means I can't also meet with Remy. Not that I necessarily have to. I was kind of curious if a meetup with Emera would somehow convince her to be nicer to Remy, but given the conversation, and also the fact that I had to make fun of Remy's ears in order to get to hang out with Emera, I don't think that's going to change. So I'll just move on from here and meet with Adine after this break. Be right back.